I stood next to my husband's hospital bed, my fingers gently entwined with his frail ones as the soft hum of machines filled the quiet room. His breathing was shallow, barely disturbing the stillness, and the doctors had gently informed me that his time was nearing its end. I bent down, brushing a tender kiss across his forehead, and whispered, "I love you so much," my voice trembling as tears cascaded down my cheeks. After all the years we'd woven our lives together, this moment felt like a shattering finale, a goodbye too painful to bear. As I stepped back from his bedside, my heart felt hollow, carved out by grief. The long, sterile hospital hallway seemed to stretch on forever, and each step I took felt like a betrayal. I didn't want to leave his side, but I hadn't slept in 3 days, keeping watch over him. The nurses, with kind persistence, urged me to go home and rest for a brief time. Hesitantly, I agreed, holding on to the fragile hope that I'd return soon enough to be with him before he faded away. As I turned a corner, my body heavy with sorrow, I paused near the nurse's desk. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but the sound of my husband's name froze me in place. What I heard next sent a jolt through my entire being. "He's been asking for her every hour," one nurse murmured with compassion. Even when his eyes could no longer open, he kept whispering her name. "I know," another nurse replied softly. "He also asked us to hide his pain from her. He didn't want her to suffer any more than she already is." My breath hitched in my throat. I pressed myself against the wall, stunned by the revelation. My husband, even in his final hours, had been shielding me, concealing his agony to spare me further heartache, while I had been struggling to stay strong for him. He had been quietly sacrificing for my sake. Then the first nurse said something that made my legs falter. "He wrote a letter for her," she said. "He asked me to keep it in the drawer with his things, to give it to her after he's gone." A letter? I had no clue he'd written anything. My heart pounded as I pictured the words he might have crafted in those last days. When his voice wavered and his hands trembled, I turned back toward the nurses, moving softly as if I'd left something behind in his room. When they saw me, their faces shifted from calm to surprised, then solemn. "I overheard," I confessed quietly. "Is there really a letter?" The older nurse nodded gently and walked to a drawer, pulling out a sealed envelope with my name written in his familiar, distinctive script. My hands shook as I took it and sank into a chair in the waiting area, staring at the envelope for long minutes before mustering the strength to open it. The words inside were shaky but filled with warmth. He poured out his gratitude for the life we'd built together, for my unwavering presence through our struggles, and for being the light of his every day. He pleaded with me not to carry guilt or grief, but to cherish the memory of his love. At the end, he made one simple request, that I keep living. He wanted me to find joy again, to laugh, to breathe deeply, and to embrace life even without him. Tears streamed down my face as I pressed the letter to my chest. I had thought I was losing him forever, but his words brought him back to me for one precious, fleeting moment. In that small, folded piece of paper, his spirit lingered. I returned to his room. He was still there, his eyes closed, but I took his hand and told him I'd read his letter. I professed my love for him again, my voice steadier this time. I believe he heard me. His lips twitched slightly, almost forming a smile. I stayed by his side until the end, never letting go of his hand. The pain of his loss was as sharp and raw as I had feared. Yet the letter softened the edges of that anguish. It was his final gift, proof that love endures beyond death. In the days that followed, I framed the letter and placed it by my bedside. I read it every night before closing my eyes. It gives me strength. It helps me find my breath. And slowly, day by day, I'm learning to live again, just as he hoped.